Coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times Channel 141 and Caliphate Radio transmitting on 91.9. I am Hajara Usman At-Tajri, your anchor for the show. Security personnel are the backbone of law and order, yet their effectiveness are often linked to more than just training and equipment. In Nigeria, issues like delayed salaries, inadequate allowances, poor housing, and limited insurance coverage continue to affect police officers, military personnel, and other security operatives. These welfare challenges impact morale, discipline, and commitment to their daily duties, sometimes creating gaps and that gaps can affect national security. This discussion will explore how timely pay and proper welfare will shape the performance of the security personnel, examining the gap or the link between motivation, professionalism, and service delivery. And with me is
Nuruddin Bello Bodinga. I'm a peace and security consultant and a strategist, and also a founder, Nobel Expedia Consult Limited.
Sir, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you.
From your experience, how does monthly pay impact security officers' day-to-day performance on duty?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I would have liked to restructure the questions a bit, taking a general background about the welfare of the personnel, within which salary become a component or an aspect. Because for a security personnel to effectively deliver on his schedules, responsibilities, he require a bundles of demands or requirements, personal requirements. So when we talk about salary, incentives, welfare, we're talking about these personal requirements that both psychological, social, and physical influence his sense of performance. And when an organization is set or is constructed, usually there is goals and objectives of an organization, like security organization. And there is this a recruitment that is coming up with the human missions in that will carry out that responsibility to deliver on those goals. But how do you ensure that the human missions, that is the human being, the personnel, what are the influentials, motivations? One is the basic rights, that is the salary. The second one is other privileges that are also very, very, very important, that will influence his focus, because a security personnel need to be focused on the job for him to be comfortable. He have to be comfortable for him to be focused and for him to be productive. So the ultimate goals of every incentive salary is to make sure that the personnel is productive. So, but technically or logically, how can a personnel be productive when he's not focused on the job? And what are those forces that determine whether he's focused or not? Comfortability. And what makes him comfortable? Standard salary, timely payment of that salary, other incentives, and the security on the job, because this is part of also incentives. These are the welfare. These are things beyond the salary issue that determines whether the personnel deliver or not. So that is the link.
There are so many complaints about the welfare of security personnel, but what are the most common complaints that you hear from the security officers?
Not that I hear. Fortunately, that's my constituency. I was privileged to work one of the security intelligence outfits. So even though I know that some years for some years I've not been in the service, but that the background I have will enable me to systematically observe the situation on ground and to be able to abreast myself with the current situation without asking anybody. So I will tell you that aspect of personal welfare requires even standard wise, it requires continual review. Even the salary, for example, it's not just that you have a salary for about 2 years, 4 years. Even if that salary is huge, it requires review because the economy is not matching. So since you have inflationary economy, it's very unfortunately Nigeria, even like yesterday I was seeing like it's catching up this much, 15% increase in inflation or what, 15 point something. So you require that, and that has not been to reviews for some years. I know sometimes they say 4 or what have you, but for security, what do you call it, outfit, I don't think 2 years is even a standard. It needs to be reviewed based on, even if it is within the month, based on the situation, economic situation on ground. And there are issues also that has to do with the pension, the guarantee. That is what will happen to me because the job requires me to submit, to volunteer, to sacrifice my life for the protection of life and the property. But what really happens to my children? Because every day security personnel, which we call operative court, in court, not in court, in reality, from the most senior officer to the rank and file, they answer one common title or rank called operative. That is combatant titled. That it means that everybody is expected to be confronted or to confront the threat. And when you are confronted or you confront the threat, you are signing a death warrant. Automatically, you know that every time you are leaving your house, you even need to say bye to your family. That you have signed that you are ready to lay up your life for the protection of your country, protection of life and the property of your fellow citizenry. So we have to look at what are the central elements. You have the equipment, you have the structure, you have the operational guidelines and what have you. But then the central machines, human machines to do the job, they also have certain influences. They have certain demands that need to be or must to be met of for the service to be effectively delivered.
How do delays in salaries and allowances affect the morale within the unit?
A very dangerously, what do you call it, implication. Corruption, tendency towards, what do you call it, distortion. Yes, most of the issues we have today, part of them, not all of them, is rooted from lack of standard, reasonable, rationally formulated and implemented salary. Before the delay, you have to look at even the reasonability. That is how standard is the salary. Is the take home reasonable? Could the personnel cope up? Could it match? Does it match with his basic, at least basic needs? But that is even the level at which we have to look at. You can't satisfy human beings 100%, but at least you have to provide the basics. Basics in terms of the take home, basic in terms of the, what do you call it, housing. Most of them stay in the barracks, and that barracks is not to guarantee security for the future. He needs his house where his children, because immediately a personnel died, there are every tendency that the family have to leave the barrack to where some of them are not even privileged to have the barrack allocation. They have to get rent. And today you have crisis because of the economy in rent, and the salary remained static in most cases within the period before the review. That's why I'm calling for the reduction in the period of review, not even using period. You have to use as circumstances. As long as the economy shifts or change, the salary should automatically change. So this is it. So when there is delay, one implication is tendency toward corruption. Frustration will definitely follow. Uncomfortability, sorry. Then you lose focus on the job. Some don't even have money for transport because what they budgeted for transport has gone down, has been.
Does it also affect discipline and other like public relations?
Yes, of course. You see, when corruption is generally a word I use, even indiscipline is a corruption. And that public, the way and manner in which they harass sometimes, it influences, frustration generates aggression.
Yes.
Though it should not be a reason why you should be aggressive, but that there are that tendency that a frustrated element will be aggressive. And he feel like the whole world is against him,
yeah.
and that he feel like you are the reason why he is suffering, that it is because of your protection, that and you are here even not even maybe, and sometimes we the civilians too, when you meet people that are not that rational, they don't know how to maintain themselves, and they attack or they try to disrespect the security personnel. The security personnel, coupled with the situation that he is, you definitely be provoked. Though I know there are even those that are not having any problem with anybody, but because of the culture of lack of professionalism, and in addition to this economic frustration, definitely is a factor.
Okay. Beyond basic salary, what allowances are more important to security personnel? Is it hazard, housing, transport, or medical?
You see, as I have made mention, you have the standard salary, timely payment of that salary. You have incentives that has to do with medicals. You also have housing. Though I know there are housing program scheme, but that housing program scheme remains much more theoretical, because most of the contributions that the personnel will have, even after the retirement, will not be able to get. That has not been implemented effectively, honestly, because this what do you call this agency? Is it housing? What do you call it? How many personnel before they retire were able to, despite the fact that their reductions are there, sometimes it is when they retire or they died, then they now go and process their amount, not the house, the amount they are able to contribute.
Okay.
No matter how token the amount is, they will just process it for sometimes maybe part of the gratuity, or they separately go and claim. The family will now go and claim it. But at the end of it, the family or the person that retire will not have a house. Majority, I'm not saying that has not been implemented completely, in some quarter, but honestly, I don't think up to 90% or 80% it is implemented.
Yeah. So looking at the welfare package, how does the welfare package of a junior officer compare to that of senior officer? And what impact does the gap have?
That gap, I will start with the source, the historical evolution. You see, before the colonial government intervention, we have an independent territories that have all these systems, security system, economic system at our office as Africans. But when the colonial masters came in, they came with their modern police, with their modern security outfit and structures. Now, when they left, instead of us to come up with to domesticate that system, we just continue with the colonial or foreign or Western security, and that is what Hausa people call kashin dankali. You see, honestly, I have been questioning that arrangement. Yes, I know there must be seniority is one of the principles of that organizations, of such organizations, but then you have to rationalize that seniority. You see, the bulk of the job is being carried out by this category of personnel, from lower cadre, middle cadre, then the upper cadre at policy level, policy and strategy level. Their own is to designs and and enforce or implement, ensure the implementation of such. But the actual operators, the foot soldiers, are this what do you call it, junior personnel, and that they constitute the large number. I think to the tune of 70 to 80% or more. Yes, but their own welfare is negligible, and that the result that is expected comes from this negligible, neglected. Sorry, the negligible number that is the superiors collected or enjoy much, and that the junior ones, are put or placed on a very poor welfare. And I am not saying the reforms are not in place, but that they are not effectively, what do you call it, emotion. And that much need to be done in order to see that the welfare of these categories of personnel who constitute the highest number or the large number, so that the productivity with, and this is one of the reasons why we are not even getting anything as per the expectations on security, the service delivery, the return for all the investment, because the elements in that are supposed to be well taken care of are not. I'm not saying they are not taking care. You tell me that yes, you are paying salary. You tell me that you are upgrading this, you are ensuring promotion, even the promotion. There are a lot of complaints and issues. What about questions as to how promotion? Because it's part of the motivation, it's part of the warfare. Psychological warfare is even much more supreme than the financial warfare. So how many personnel get their own promotion without maybe without any nepotism, without any godfatherism within the service, without maybe bribing or giving certain amount of money before they. We have to investigate, because if there are certain things, such things within the process, then definitely we will definitely rate the welfare of the personnel very. What about the training? Because it's part of the welfare too. It's not just about the job. If you are not well trained, you will not be much more, you lack confidence in what you do. Professionalism will not be there. But when a personnel is well recruited, well trained, well motivated, well equipped, yes, then that is what is called motivated. And well funded. You have your salary and it's coming in time, and then you have flexible salary, because you have to look at standardization. It must reach the standard. The salary must reach the standard, minimum wage or whatever you call it. I call it standard salary, not minimum wage for personnel. Then you have timely. It must be coming in time. I don't mind if security personnel collect his salary first before any personnel in this country, because these are the people that are awakened when all of us are sleeping. Yes. These are the people that do not have much guarantee of their life within 24 hours. These are the people that lack certain or refuse to enjoy certain social mongling. Even their own family are paying that. There are children that don't know their father very well. That intimacy is not there, but they sacrifice that for the country. So I'm expecting such thing. But whenever you have allocation, you need, even our House of Reps and the senators that scrutinize the budget before passing the budget, they need to do something about this. I'm expecting the House of Committee on Appropriation to be doing such things. Where you allocate, because they are not the one that initiate the budget. The security personnel, the management of the security personnel, but they need to. That's where the political class can have an input, because they represent the very constituency that those funds are allocated for their protection. So me and you are represented by our political class, and that the security technicians are also answerable. They have to take this budget to them, and that if there are areas within which there need to be amended before the budget is passed, that's it.
So we are talking about military personnel, security personnel in general. But are there differences in pay and welfare across the agencies like the police, army, civil defense, and fire service? Are there differences in pay and welfare?
Sometimes it's very difficult to figure that out.
Okay.
But I know there are what they call salary scale. They are in different salary scale, like intelligence community where I come from. I know there is it intelligence community salary scale. There are police salary scale. There are military salary scale. All these con this con that you used to hear, that is a salary scale. And I don't know technically the what do you call it, the yardstick in which the salary, there are wages and salary commission that is responsible for that. But whatever is it, that is not even much of is supposed to be much of focus or concern. The issue is that all the salary, because sometimes salary is allocated or is being given based on the nature of your work. Definitely. So even if other agency differ from the other, that may not be. But generally, security agencies, including military and intelligence community, need to be given much more priority. And that apart from allocation of welfare, apart from the salary, you have to also have a system of monitoring and evaluation. You need to evaluate. There must be an accountability posture where these people that went with the budget, depended the budget, and the money is released to them, there must be a way, there need to be a way that they can be accounted for. And that when they bring the budget, because sometimes generally, government officials has sometimes shady attitude or behavior. Sometimes they tend to give or to allocate reasonable amount to personal welfare, even from the allocation from the budget itself. Because when you have an array of corruption or corrupt personnels, I'm talking about generally government officials, you understand, tough government officials. Sometimes the negative rationale is that when they allocated much more on procurement, on capital expenditure, that's where they may get the kickback. That's where it will benefit them. But whenever they allocate much on the personnel, sometimes it is very hard to take away from the personal budget, because it will definitely expose you, because this so amount is allocated to so person. Which one are you going to deny it? Which one are you going to be? But procurement, sometimes that is the area in which almost 60% of the corrupt practices have been conducted. So that is it.
Is there a link between poor welfare and issues like extortion, absenteeism, or divided loyalty? If yes, then how strong is that link?
Yes, very strong link. There is even a link that is, to answer your question very straight. And that link is very, very, very strong, in the sense that poor remuneration and welfare directly affect the comfortability, that is the psycho, social and economic or physical well-being of the person. And as long as that is affected, the muscles, the morale, you understand, will be very down. You will be put into the uncomfortable zone. And that once he's pushed to the uncomfortable zone, then he risks being a victim of the theory of frustration aggression theory. That is, a frustrated person is a potential aggressive person. And that aggressiveness is part of denial, refusal to take order, order extortions, corrupt practices, harassments of the citizens, those that he's supposed to protect, and a lot of issues. So technically, I'm just giving you a technical grasp, of how the link exists technically. Yes, thank you.
So how does a proper welfare influence professionalism when dealing with civilians? Like you are mentioning some, but how does proper welfare.
Okay,
Thanks.
if there are proper welfare for security personnel, what will be the outcome, right?
Yes.
That is the opposite of what I had mentioned.
Yes.
Yes, if the welfare is high, the morale will be high. If the welfare is low, the morale will be low. So in this case, the morale will be high because the welfare is high, and that definitely productivity will be very high. Following the chain of pushing the personnel to comfortability, from comfortability to focus, focus to productivity. It is a very simple analogy.
Okay, viewers and listeners, it's still your show, Midday Vibes, coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times Channel 141 and Caliphate Radio transmitting on 91.9. We will take a short break and we will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is Midday Vibes, coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times Channel 141 and Caliphate Radio transmitting on 91.9. And right here at the studio, we are discussing about how timely payments and proper welfare shape the performances of security personnel, and we are examining the link between motivation, professionalism, and service delivery. And with me in the studio is
Muradin Bello Bodinga.
you want to be part of this conversation, the number to call is 0190-6000-2022. Welcome back from the break, Malam Nuruddin.
All right, thank you.
So we've been discussing about how delays in payments and welfare affect the performances of security personnel. Now, looking at those responsible, who are those responsible for timely pay and welfare? Is it the federal, state, or the agencies themselves?
For the only, I don't want us to take the issue of salary as the general welfare. It is just a parcel of it. So generally, the salary, the incentives, and the other issues that has to do with the housing, even the future, that is the safety, the security, that is the future guarantee, that is the pension, and what have you. See, is depend on the arrangement. There are organizations who are directly under the treasury, and there are organizations that have their own allocations, but most of the security personnel, I know they have that financial autonomy or independence, where they pay their way process, but the source of the money still come from the government because they don't generate. Most of them don't generate revenue, and even if they generate revenue is revenue. It must go to the government. Then the government will now process and share such things as an allocation. So, but I know when it comes to that, as in salary per se, the government, as in the political class, have little influence because they make sure that there are such, even if it has to be to borrow, they must make sure you see salary have to go. But then the other aspect of the welfare is depending upon the organization and the management of that organization. That's why even within the same security organization, you see some organizations are doing well in terms of welfare than the others. Why? Because most of the time it is not that the government would isolate or give them much more priority than the others, but because the initiative and discretion, and especially the the attitude and the passion, because each management, each individual has his own priority and focus. If you are lucky to have a management that have focus or direction, you understand, on the welfare, and that they are much more less corrupt. They are very good managers, and that they have they have strategic thinking, because taking care of the personal welfare is part of the strategic thinking in service delivery in security valley. Why? Because you have to look at all the components and elements that needs to be addressed or sharpened before the service is delivered. That is strategic thinking. If you are just looking at certain component and not taking care of especially the most critical aspect, which I have made mention, the life wear of the service delivery at the human machines. So if the human machines are not much taken care of, definitely. So these variations, if there are any, is usually from the or attributed to the attitudes and the commitments level of these managements, whether at the time or managements in various security organizations.
So how much of security budget actually goes to personnel welfare and vices equipment and procurement?
I cannot answer that. I don't know.
You don't
I'm,
know
I'm
the
not in the
answer.
know of the ratio. I'm not in the know of the figure. But what I know is that, or what I can see and feel is that there either the budget is there because we have three things here that we need to take care of or to understand technically.
Okay, what are
Because
they?
we are dealing with the layman. Let the layman know this. Sometimes people used to think or say that there are a lot of trillions going to the security, and even the welfare, the personnel are not taken care of. Where are the money going? When you say trillions or billions that you see as budgeted, there are three ways to assess that. One, the budget itself. How much is budgeted? And how much is truly budgeted for security? That is, how much is voted? Because, this country, we have experiences. We had experience in the past where National Security Advisor, Office of the National Security Advisor, was, what do you call it, alleged to have compromised, and that certain amount were allocated in the name of security. You remember Kudin Makamai, or what do you call it? So, but I want to use this opportunity to tell people wherever they see such things, sometimes it's not that those amounts are really or truly budgeted for security or for the purpose of purchasing such arms, but probably there are maybe the political class, the maneuver between the political class and the security leadership, where they want to do either campaign with the money or they want to do something with the money, then they'll have to find a way, because the government, no matter how you see people are saying they are stealing in government, you just cannot steal without cover. So sometimes they use that as a cover. They say, okay, because security is not audited, or is audited, but it's not strictly as the other organizations. So we are going to allocate, but whenever the money comes from, you have to give, because you have to share it too. Like the way they did during Jonathan era, there was this issue of sharing those money purportedly for security equipment to chairmen of the parties. You remember? Chairmen of the ruling party at the time.
Yes,
So that is what people need to understand. First, what is the authentic amount that are budgeted? We need to know that. Secondly, when the budget is passed, there are another breach that has to do with the release. It's one thing to pass the budget, the amount that is budgeted, but the security management may not be able to even get all the amounts between January and December. That's why you have mopping out. Sometimes the money that has not, but apart from mopping out, there are money that has not been released from the finance department, finance ministry. So you see, you say so amount were allocated to me as a security manager, but as a budget, I have 2 naira, but at the end of the day, it's only 1 naira up to December that I've been able to release, because I've been declaring that I have 2 naira for a year is one thing, but being able to get the 2 naira, you understand, that is where we said available resources at our disposal. So if it is not at our disposal, it's still not that viable resources. So, but the third bridge is, even if the budget is authentic, there is no padding, and that amount is accurate, is for the security, and maybe some component of the welfare are there, reasonable component, for example, for the welfare of the personnel. But then another issue is, had the money been released? Maybe, let's say positively, yes, it has been released. But another breach, which is very central and critical, is management. Application, whether those amount has been released, but whether those amount has been judicially utilized. There is no misapplication or misappropriation, because that is the difference between misappropriation and misapplication. Whenever you are going to use certain amount voted for a particular, let's say, capital expenditure, you now move it, or personal, then you move it to capital expenditure. That is, you misapply the funds, and that it itself is a corruption manifestation, because there must be reason why you do that.
Yes.
You remember I had made mention, capital expenditure is much more lucrative to the eyes of the corrupt civil servant or public servant than the personal, because personal is strictly for personal, and there is little window to squander that amount, and that is one of the reasons why I feel personal budget is not much given much more priority.
Where do you think the bottleneck usually happen?
It is between, as I made mention, it could be between the security leadership and the political class, and it could also be strictly at the door of the security leadership, and it could also be not at the door of the security leadership, but to the political leadership. These are the two responsibility windows. Accountability windows. These are the people that will be held responsible, because the other personnel are at the receiving end anyway, and the citizens, they don't even have the authority or the power to even get to the resources, so you cannot even hold them responsible.
So if you had the power to fix one thing about security situation or security personnel welfare today, what will it be and why?
Standardization of the salary. I must make sure that the salary is standard one. Then I must create a system, reshuffle this system, because why we have delays in salary and what have you, or mix up in salary and what have you, is because the system the system of payments need to be reshuffled. But all these things cannot be granted if there is no will. So I must assure that I have the commitment and the will, and that I should have the zeal to create that system that will also checkmate any failure. And every failure must be dealt decisively. There must be somebody who will be accountable. And that every accountable window must be open. I won't close it. If I send money or I release money and I establish a system, and that certain leadership columns decided to test my will, they will be dealt decisively according to Late Abacha. So this is it. And you see, in this country, we just have to learn how to enforce, to have the power of enforcing, the will to enforce, the power to enforce, and the morale to follow up. And we have to start with ourselves. We have to talk to ourselves. If you are in the helm of leadership, you must first of all redress yourself. That I have a responsibility, but I have my personal needs. I have to choose between delivering the public responsibility and serving my personal needs. So I have to scrutinize myself. By the time I feel I am ready, I have the will to do that. Then anybody who is not ready to do that also must be taken off. Because if there is no punishments, that is where the indiscipline come in. It's much more in almost every organization or systems today. Because there is no that decisive actions against that menace. That is indiscipline. Thank you.
How can citizens and civil society advocate for better welfare without interfering with security operations?
Please, I beg your pardon, the question.
How can citizens and civil society groups advocate for better welfare for the security personnel and without interfering with their operations?
How can they
Advocate.
Advocate. Yes, we need security is not a business for the official security personnel alone.
Yeah.
We need stakeholders, we need community engagement, we need even the wealthy individuals need to support financially, despite whatever the government will allocate. We have reached a situation where we need to leave everything in the hand of government. So we have to advocate for the people that will advocate, but for people that will even act by releasing certain or taking care of certain protection for responsibility. For example, all these things that the state government used to do as a complementary role to the security, even the individual, the businessmen, are providing certain gadgets and certain security in addition to what they had been procured for them in the budget, from the budget. You understand? So that we have more than enough. And that I think when we have individuals' financial support, that is also when people will be also asking questions about their own resources. And that is when the security managers will also be will also be much more responsible and accountable. Because if I am donating 20 billion to the security apparatus as part of my my contributions, I know that nobody can tell me that I cannot ask the security technicians how the money. But because even without financial or individual personal contribution, even the funds, the general public funds, we should have right to, because it's our own money, but that it is much more because individuals do not have that awareness. So, but if it is their own money, they don't even know that even the allocations they are given them is the taxpayers' money and the natural resources that they country. But if it is earned from their direct pocket, they will definitely, and they will also work hard to see that they cooperate with the security agencies, because it is not only the money that you need to contribute, even the information is central. You understand? And the support, wherever you see security personnel, you motivate them to the best you can. You understand? You cooperate with them, you show them even this honor and respect. It will motivate them, it will make them to know that yes, the public that we are protecting are appreciating, and that it will be like a moral booster for them.
What lessons can Nigeria learn from other countries in terms of in welfare performance and their welfare and their performance of security personnel?
I'm not usually an advocate of copy and paste.
Okay.
I feel Nigeria has a dimensional and unique problem, and we need in-house solutions, homegrown strategies. But that there is nothing bad in seeing good things and trying to copy, but that is not copy and paste. You need to domesticate that ideas. You understand? So there are a lot of lessons in that direction. There are lessons of system, sophisticated system. You have to put system on. Even this warfare, if there is no system, it will not be consistent, and it will not be coherent and effective.
For young Nigerians considering career in security, what will you tell them about welfare realities versus their expectations?
Before then, I used to, whenever I see a young man and waving and chanting to be a security personnel, to wear a uniform and hold a gun, I said, oh, wait a minute, a security pally is not a pally for show. It's not a pally of, I don't have any job, so let me manage the one I have. That is not a job for you. And I used to tell anybody I see in that position that it is not everything that is about making it or becoming a wealthy person. You enter into that service to give, not to collect. So first of all, you have to be ready to know that you are there to make sacrifice. Sacrifice, the supreme sacrifice for that matter, which is your life. And that although you require certain things to motivate you, but that you should also know that psychological warfare is much more important than the financial warfare. And even where the psychological warfare is not coming off, the way I used to now advise our personnel, despite the hazardous situation in which they are, they should not take it for granted. They should not think it's a reason why they should misbehave. They should still try to see what they can to offer their service as even a way of volunteer, because if I have passion for doing something, even if I am not motivated, I will now redirect or divert my own intent from official this thing to voluntary, that okay, I will continue to do this job even if nobody is paying me well, that I am a patriotic person, I am doing it to save life, and I should have passion You understand? And job satisfaction for what I'm doing. As long as I'm protecting individual, I'm serving humanity. As long as I have a little to eat, I should be able to carry it. Meanwhile, that is not a realistic, what do you call it, conclusion. Still, government need to do much, and individuals, in order to improve the welfare of the personnel, security personnel.
Thank you very much, Madam Nuruddin Bello Bodinga, for always honoring our invitation, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you very much.
And with this, we come to the end of today's edition of the program, Midday Vibes. On behalf of our production crew and our guest, Madam Nuruddin Bello Bodinga, I am Hajara Usman Attajiri. Stay blessed until next time.